Today's journey on Lynn's Light is how to participate in your parents' health care when they're hospitalized. My mother was a nurse from St. Luke's out of New York, and so she knew everything. She also knew enough to not go to the hospital until she absolutely had to. That's a problem because my mother would not disclose when she was having pain or something was not working. And I don't live with my parents, therefore I didn't know when my mother had a blockage in her bowel. That's a big deal and can really be harmful. However, my mother finally admitted she had a problem, and I took her to the emergency room, and the hospital figured out what the problem was right away. And of course, she was admitted. The hospital was very good to her. They had all her records, so that was not an issue this time. However, she was placed in ICU for a short period of time and then moved to another room. And of course, as the advocate for your parent, you want to be able to know what's going on. How do you accomplish that? Well, one way is you show up at the hospital 6 a.m. when the doctors do their rounds and you're present. The doctors will talk to you if you're present at the exact moment that they are discussing your parents' health. And if your parents do not remember everything, it's imperative that you are there so you know what the follow-on care is, if necessary for rehab or if your parent can be discharged home. My parents went to the hospital a number of times and were discharged home, whether it was the best thing or not. So I really needed to know those details. But in this journey, I basically asked my mother to tell the nurses to inform me of her progress or concerns, because my mother could speak. She seemed to be aware of what was going on. And what I learned was the nurses said, "We're not talking to you. We don't have a piece of paper that says you have authority to know that information." Oh my gosh, I was taken aback because I thought my mother could clear that authority by talking to the nurses. Not anymore. We live in a large city. People don't know everybody, and the nurses really don't know if that's what my mom wants. Even if she tells them one day it's okay, she could change her mind the next day. So what did I have to do? I needed to be added to my mom's power of attorney. And since my mom was in her 80s, I made sure this power of attorney was effective immediately. Apparently, these documents can be effective upon a doctor saying your parent can't manage their affairs, or it can be some other condition, or it can be multiple doctors. But once my mom hit 80, it was very apparent that I needed that authority right away. The good news is, even though my parents gave me that authority to get medical records, to help with decision making, and to know all the details of their medical care, the doctors and nurses would always still recognize your parents' right to make decisions. As long as your parent seemed capable of making a decision, the doctors and nurses will listen to your parents. However, I can participate in an active mode. I can know what the details are of the therapy, and I can help ensure that my parent has a successful return from the hospital home. This is very important. So, when faced with a parent going into the hospital, whether your parent's 80 years old or 50 years old, you must have documented authority saying you are allowed to know. And there are ways that that can be done. The simplest is with what in my case was called the healthcare power of attorney. Those generally are available in other states. You just need to talk to a lawyer and find out exactly what that document is when this comes about. Hopefully you can do it before you have an emergency. However, getting it done at some point in life is very important. So with my power of attorney, I was able to help my mother with decisions. I could help her when she was discharged, and I could ensure her follow-on care was appropriate and complete. Be sure to get the authority you need for your parent. Thank you for joining us at Lynn's Light. Thank you for joining Lynn's Light. We hope the ideas, the creativity, and the issues that we went through with our family can be applied to you for generations to come. We all have aging family members, and all we want to do is empower you. This is never intended to be legal advice. Good luck.